Hello, everybody, and welcome to 10 p.m. with Galinsky. I am here with you, very excited. It only happens here, Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern. So good to be with all of you. I see the chat room is already filled up. Ron Cephas Jones is with us. Google Ron Cephas Jones, folks. Check him out. You're in an audience with somebody who's pretty extraordinary. You're all extraordinary. Turco Ono, Callie Greenberg, Tammy T, hello. Jack Fuller, the amazing Jack Fuller. Good to see you. Zulima, right on. Swiss K, how are you? Amy Alt, so good to be here. Hey, Katha. Mike Shriedman. All right, here we go. Couple quick things before we start. Once again, quick shout out if you haven't gone to nuchas.com yet to experience the delicious empanadas. You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Get there. nuchas.com. Also, we're simulcasting over a couple of other services tonight. The Stage Network. If you haven't been to the Stage Network, go to watchstage.com, an incredible archive of amazing theater. Also, hey, Baba Israel's in the house. Baba, right on. Brilliant artist. Also, actortrade.com. If you need to run lines with someone or you need to self-tape and submit, you can do it right through actortrade.com. And guess what? It's absolutely free. And then last but not least, VIPTalentConnect.com is making this possible tonight as well. Take a course with VIP Talent Connect or just go check out their freebies. Good stuff at VIP Talent Connect. Okay, I think that's really all I have to say. I would like to remind you all to share the show when it's done. Preston, hello. Good to see you in the house. Jose, Swiss K, good to see you. Good to see you all. Share the show when it's over. But right now, let's get Barry Shabaka Henley into the mix and on the show. Barry, welcome to the show, Barry.
Hey,
Shabaka.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. It's hard to recognize you without your mask.
Yeah, I know. I had to go unmasked.
Unmasked. We are live.
Yeah.
We are live on the internet global, and I really appreciate you being with us tonight. Let's start off with some good news. You are the star of an incredible TV show right now. It got renewed. I don't know what's going on with all this COVID stalling and whatnot, but tell us a little bit about what it's like to be working on this show. Bob loves Abishola.
That's fantastic. I've never really even been a fan of the genre particularly, but every few years something really great comes along, and in terms of content-wise, in terms of material and talent, and we just hit gold mine on this one. Chuck Lorre is our executive producer. An extraordinary woman by the name of Gina Yashere, a Nigerian Brit, and one of the co-creators, Al Higgins. It's an amazing producing staff, and the cast is off the chain too. I mean, they somehow found a great group of talented people, but a nice magical bit of chemistry that happens on there.
Bob, you had to learn an accent for that. How difficult was that?
Well, I mean, it's a work in progress. I mean, every outing, I have to be vigilant, and I got 5-6 other Nigerians around me, and they're always there with
Yeah, the
it's
vibe.
not right. They'll say no, it's obogno. Oh. No, it's great, man. I got some brilliant people, Bayo and Anthony, and my woman who plays my wife, Shola Adewisi, and the wonderful woman who plays Abishola, the great Fulake Olofuyeku. She's amazing. It's a great group, man.
We shout out some people in the chat room who are here and ready to watch you and I. Turco Ono's here, Callie Greenberg's here, Tammy T.
Hey, Tammy,
yep, she's an up-and-coming actor.
What's up?
Jack Fuller, an ex-tennis pro, is in the house.
All right, Jack.
Zulima, another actress. Ron Cephas Jones. I don't know if you've ever seen any of Ron's work. He's a writer.
Playwright.
Huh?
He's playwright?
Yeah. Poet.
Yeah, I know.
Yep,
Of course.
Ron's showing up. Amy Alt's in the house. Jose
Amy.
house. Michael Swiss Cake. Atha. Queens World Film Festival's in the house. It's good. It's
All
good.
right. All right.
Heather Prescott, Elizabeth Harder just showed up.
Heather and Elizabeth, of course.
Of course, right?
Come on down.
You are known for being coming off as, anyway, a warm, lovable, sweet guy. And you are that guy. But you also play some kind of crummy characters. Like in Ali, I believe you had some sinister motives.
Well, of course, I didn't see myself that way. No.
No, of course. And you've been in some incredible films. Do you grab? I mean, even in you were in Collateral. We're going to look at a couple pictures, but you were in Collateral and you got killed. But you were, we loved you before you got killed. And
hey, I tell you what I realized, that in some ways it's better to get killed, because you're remembered more for the guy who died than sometimes for the guy that live on for the next 3/4 of a film. So that was a great outing for me, and it's a nice spot to hold as an actor. You just walk in and you swing the bat a few times and go home.
Let's take a look at a couple pictures and just get inspired with some more questions out of this.
All right.
Tammy says, good to see you again. Tammy was in LA when you did the seminar with the VIP folks.
Oh, yeah. What's up, Tammy?
This is your Nigerian look.
Uncle Tunde.
Yeah, man. And you're part of your cast here.
My wife, that's the great Shola, and Travis Wolf Jr.
Is she
my nephew?
Is she a working actress out of Nigeria, or has she been in New York? I mean, United States for a while.
Neither. She's a Brit. She's a Nigerian, but she's as English as the Queen, as a scone, or as bangers and mash. She is one of the most British people I've ever met.
Really?
But at heart, she's a Nigerian. Oh yeah, she's a total Brit.
Interesting. Look, we got our first question. We got our first question out of our chat here. Turco Ono wants to know, what did you do from age 18 to 36? Because I read you didn't appear on a show until you were about 36 or 37.
I was doing this odd little job called theater. I had worked in theater for about 18 years before I got my first job in television, my first big job in television. A pilot for Eddie Murphy's company. Pilot called Clippers, about a barbershop, oddly enough. And in that cast was John Amos, Cecily Tyson.
Wow.
God, who else is that? Phyllis Stickney.
That makes me want to ask you a question. You've been doing this a while. Are you ever intimidated by some of the talent that's in the room with you? You work with Tom Cruise. You did scenes with Tom Cruise. You've done scenes with Will Smith. And are you ever intimidated by this? And if so, how do you handle that? And if not, why not?
Well, no, actually, I'm never intimidated by that. The only thing that intimidates me is lack of preparation. If I feel like I'm not prepared enough, I could be working with Mickey Mouse and not be secure as I want to be as an actor or comfortable. But I take a lot of time for preparation. For me, preparation is the key to a performance. And so, no, I'm not. I mean, I had heard, there's one example of before I got to the set, people kept telling me things that, oh, you better be careful out there. Oh, he's kind of wild. Oh, you better watch yourself out there. And it was, I was about to work with Russell Crowe. And I was talking to Michael Mann one night about it. And he said, what are you doing next? I said, oh, I'm getting ready to do a film with Russell Crowe. And he goes, oh my God. Say hello to Russell.
We got a lot of young actors, a lot of people breaking into the industry that watch this show. I know I'm putting you on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot for the next 20 minutes. When you say coming in unprepared or not prepared is the intimidation factor, what are some of the things that are when you are prepared? What do you do to prepare?
Well, it depends. I'll just give you the best way for me as an example.
Yeah.
That example of working with Russell Crowe, I had a scene with him where it was like what they call a walk and talk. where you walk for about a half a mile and the camera is on Steadicam or either handheld, but you are walking and talking. And we covered probably about a quarter of a mile in that scene. And he comes in the front door, I meet him, we walk. And I tell him about what's going on. He tells me about the case, blah, 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 blah. We walk for about a quarter of a mile. So in order to prepare for that, I got a friend of mine who is no longer with us, the late, great Wayne Patton. I got him to go with me. We took off our shoes and we went out to the beach and we just rehearsed the scene over and over in the sand. Just walking back and forth over and over. We did the scene probably 40 times, walking in the sand. So by the time I hit flat ground and did it, it was like I was like in an airplane. I was flying. It really just took the weight off of thinking about anything. And it was really prepared me for that scene in a way that was so, it made things so smooth and so light. And it gives you an opportunity to be creative once you're comfortable.
Right.
You can be creative because you're not thinking about, God, what's that line? Or you're not thinking about this, that, and the other. You're in the moment, and that's where creativity happens. And that's where great moments of art take place. It's when you're free and you're not thinking and you're walking and talking and you're flying.
When did you discover that you wanted to be on stage and in front of a camera?
Probably as a teenager. I got my first professional job as an actor when I was 17. I was in a play. I was in high school, my senior year. So when everybody was going to the prom and to the graduation and to the blah, 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 I did none of that. I had a job where I was working 6 days a week, Tuesday through Sunday, twice on Sunday and twice on Saturday. So my life in my senior year of high school sort of decided for itself what I was going to be doing. And I just kept going, didn't stop. And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, and it impacted a lot of career in that short 10 years.
Probably 30 years worth of career.
And one of those is right here, the movie The Terminal.
Yeah.
Working with Tom Hanks.
Tom's a homeboy. We're both from the Bay Area. Tom's from Alameda. I'm from San Francisco. And we had endless hours of hanging out and talking about, being young people. Tom and I are the same age. Both of our parents were divorced around the same age. And Tom calls it the Henley Hanks Divorce Act of the 1950s.
Another shot from the movie.
Oh, yeah. Is that Zoe?
Yep.
Yeah. Zoe and Diego Luna, Chi McBride, and that other guy. That's Tom Hanks.
And then this other one, this Collateral.
I love it. I love this picture.
Yeah, this is a great picture.
I want this.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
I've never seen this, Robert.
Cool.
Never.
Well, that's what we do here at 10 p.m. with Galinsky. We plumb the depths to bring out the reality and the little-known facts. Love it.
There you go. I love that photo, man.
So the scene you did, this is spoiler alert for a movie that's a few years old. You get bounced, you get bumped, you get shot. And
yes.
There's a couple of there's the scene right there where you did a great job of the anticipation, and you work a lot with Michael Mann, the director, right?
Absolutely.
When did you and Michael hit it off? What was the first collaboration that you then guys, because you did hit it off, and you've been in a number of his films.
I think from the moment we met.
Yeah.
We met at the Four Seasons in New York. In 2000. I'm sorry, 2000. And it was he was meeting with people for Ali, and I remember going up meeting with him, and we sat and we talked like a couple of guys that had known each other for a while, even to the extent of, we'd go into the bedroom part of the suite, and had the meeting, and the rest of the suite was where people were waiting. So, I remember the casting director kept knocking on the door. It was like, hey, Michael, we got to get moving. So-and-so's here. And I remember seeing, God, out there in the waiting room, Giancarlo Esposito was out there. Giancarlo, what's his name? Uh, Terry Headley was doing Carmen. She was there. Terrence Howard was in the outer room with his guitar, so he started singing and playing. It was just an amazing thing. But the casting director said, "We got to end this. You got a room full of people out there."
And he liked you so much that he had you killed.
He had me killed the second time. That first meeting was about Ali.
Gotcha.
And from then on it was Ali, and then we did Collateral together, and then we did Miami Vice, the movie, not the series.
Yep. Couple of moments in chat going on here. Infinity TWS just arrived.
Hey, Infinity, what's up?
What
Go
up?
on and on.
Diane arrived, and Patricia Whitcast arrived.
Patricia, wait.
Yep, Jane Spoken Word, Lisa Marie Kehoe, who hit me earlier this week and said, "Oh my God, I love him. I gotta stay up. I gotta stay up."
We love you too. Thank you.
Lisa Marie, Jamie's here. Callie Greenberg's got a question. What was your favorite movie that you worked on, and why?
Well, that's a frequent question, but it's actually a real question and a good one, because there are some things you work that are your favorite because of what you did in the film, and there are other movies that it's because of where you shot it. It becomes. And I think, as work-wise as an actor, I think Collateral for me is my favorite film in my career as an actor. And we shot that in LA, which, However, there's several films that are my favorites because of where we shot. Ali is a favorite of mine because, we were able to we spent almost 6 months working on that film in 3 countries.
Wow.
And it was pretty amazing. We shot in Mozambique, Maputo, Mozambique, for about 2 months, and we spent another week in Accra, Ghana, and the rest in the United States. That was my favorite location film. That was, the locations were amazing. Yeah. For the work though, as an actor, I would have to say Collateral, hands down.
And now you're one of those LA actors, those Hollywood actors that can crush it on stage, and I mean crush it. And not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do both. Not everybody can do one or the other. You nail both of them. This is one of your most beloved pieces. Tell the world about Satchmo at the Waldorf.
Oh my God, this is an amazing piece of theater written by my good friend Terry Teachout. A shout out to Teachout, who's out in New York, actually in Connecticut right now. Terry writes. He's a theater critic for the Wall Street Wall Street Journal, and he wrote a play, and it is phenomenal. It's a play that deals with the entire life, but just one of the last nights in the life of the great Louis Armstrong.
And you are a big fan of Louis Armstrong, and what actually is happening in the chat is, by the way, Maria just joined us. Turco's got a question in the chat that I think is perfect timing for this. Has your interest of jazz and the improvisation of that style of music helped you in your acting? And by the way, do you play an instrument?
For the second question first, no, I don't play an instrument. However, as a child, I did play the trumpet, oddly enough. When I was around 10 years old, 5th grade, I played trumpet. Moved on to drums, but I've always had an affection and attraction to music as an influencer. And the first question was about jazz and improvisation. That is my career. That is my craft. I base my craft on musicality, and as much as influenced by actors, I am as influenced by great musicians and other artists, writers, of course. But I feel like a jazz artist, because if you're someone that's comfortable enough with a composition that you're able to solo in a way that's unique, that expresses your voice, that's the way, kind of the way I approach theater. It's, to me, it is a form of music. And I generally say, right, with a play like Satchmo, which was 90 minutes of one person, me standing in front of an audience, I remember doing a run through, and Terry Teach Out and Charlie Newell in Chicago, they said, well, how do you feel? I said, well, I feel like I have the general shape of the music. Now I just need all the notes in there.
Nice.
And for me, that's how I approach my work. I'm a jazz actor, I guess.
I would second that. Yeah. By the way, you know what the backdrop is behind me. Every time I do a show, I kind of customize my backdrop, and this is, yeah. And so this is, as you pointed out when you saw it earlier, the reel-to-reel sound system in Louis Armstrong's house.
Yes, it is very
Corona, Queens.
That's right.
And you've been there, so you've seen this legit.
I've been there. I've touched it with my own hands. Yeah, Louis. You know, I don't even call him Louis Armstrong. And I don't know if you know this, but he didn't like to be called Louis. He just tolerated it.
What else? Tell me about Hello, Dolly. It's another thing he had to tolerate.
Oh, Hello, Dolly was probably recording one of the most insignificant moments in his entire life. He would frequently be handed a list of songs by his manager, lifelong friend Joe Glazer, and he said, okay, Louis, you're going to be doing these. You're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do that. And so they were about to leave to go on a tour around the country. And he said, hey, Louis, before you go, I'd like to get you in the studio so you can, record these tunes. And Louis said, okay. So he recorded the tunes, boom, they went on the road. Maybe a few weeks into the tour on the road, he gets out on stage and he's playing, and I don't know where he is, Wyoming or somewhere. And the audience will start yelling and chanting, hello, Dolly, play Hello, Dolly, hello, Dolly. And Louis is in complete, he has no idea what they're talking about. He doesn't remember the names of the songs he generally records or any of it. So there, he looks over at the keyboard player and he says, what are they talking about? He said, I think it's one of those tunes we did before we left town. He says, really? He says, well, how does it go? And the piano player says, I have no idea. And so he goes home that night and calls Joe Glazer. He said, Joe, you wouldn't believe what happened. We're doing the middle of the gig. Audience starts yelling, play Hello, Dolly. What the hell is that? He said, it's one of the tunes you recorded before you left town. And what I got to tell you, you got to sit down. That song, Hello, Dolly, he says, that song just knocked the Beatles out of first place. That song is now #1 in the world. So Louis, completely befuddled, says, look, can you send it to me? Because I have no idea what it sounds like, Joe. So he sends him the record. The next day, they sit in the hotel room and put it on the record player, and they listen to it. And Louis shakes his head, and he says, this is a piece of shit. He said, but you know what? It's what the people want. So we got to give the people what they want. So they learned the tune. And that night, they went out and they played Hello, Dolly. And he's been playing it ever since. He's probably playing it somewhere now.
Right. I mean, that's his signature song, whether he knows it, likes it or not. That's what so many people recognize him by.
Oh, yeah. And it's a popular song. I mean, it's a song that, he was a jazz artist, a truly one of the original jazz artists of the genre. He's one of the first guys to play that music. And he was a virtuoso musician. But by the time he started playing his Hello, Dolly at the advice of Joe Glazer's manager, Joe Glazer said, hey, man, stop blowing your brains out, hitting all in high C's. There's no money in that. That voice of yours, that's where the money is. He said, you start singing, Louis, you won't even have to play the trumpet anymore.
Nice.
course, Lewis said, well, I want to play the trumpet still, but Joe Glazer turned out to be completely correct. He was so right in the fact that when Lewis starts to sing, he crossed over in a way that never would have happened if he would have continued on the track.
It's a good thing he's got a good manager with some insight to give him advice, much like your manager, Gina.
Hey, Gina Ruggalo, this manager.
Yeah.
Gina Ruggalo.
Gina Ruggalo, she gives you great advice, and she's given me great advice along the way, too. In the chat room, Charisse has joined us. Deneen has just joined us. Deneen was the woman who took care of you when you were in LA at the VIP event. She runs that.
Yes, I remember. And hey,
two brilliant actors have just shown up too. Jeff Wincott. I don't know if you've ever met Jeff. Jeff has done
I think so.
Yeah.
I know the name, but
done a ton of things, and it's like an 18-degree black belt. He's a sick man with his feet, his hands, and his head. He was in. He had a long-running role with Carol O'Connor in Into the Night, or Deep. What was the name of the show?
Okay.
Yeah.
And Heat of the Night.
Say it again.
Heat of the Night.
Heat of the Night. Yes. And Jeff was in that, among many other things. And then our beloved J.O. Sanders is in the chat now watching.
All right. Hey, Brent Jennings speaks of Jay, and I'll give you a shout out for Brent, Jay.
All right. So because of Jay being in there, let's just move along to another thought I had I would love to share with you about the fact that you helped me with part of my career, as did Jay as a director, but you as a presenter. And I remember coming to you and saying, hey, look, I got this show. Do you think you could maybe come on board as a presenter? And you were like, I'll do whatever you want, man. I love you. But what is a presenter? And I said, well, it's a producer, but you ain't got to put no money in it. And so I owe a lot to you and Chris for aligning your names with me. And of course, Jay for directing the show. And he was brilliant. This is our announcement playbill. And I remember when that headshot went up, you said, Galinsky, that shot's a little old there, pal.
Or either I'm a little old or the shot is, but yeah.
Speaking of that, I got a question in the chat. Vincent Gottschalk, who's an improviser here on the Lower East Side. If you were to redo a movie or a play that you had done as a younger man, would you do it differently because of the way you have changed as you've grown older?
Without question. Even if I attempted to do it the exact same way, it would be completely different. The primary acting teacher I had, an amazing woman, Marguerite Roma, she said to me once, and I was probably 25, 24, and she ran a Shakespeare company I was in. And, she would give a note, and then she would say, you know what, I didn't explain myself well enough. Come by tomorrow at 3, and I want to talk to you in depth about it. So for an hour, we would talk in depth about the character, and we talked. And one of the things she said to me, she said, well, I think you're a very talented actor. And one day you may even be a great actor. But that can't happen for many years to come. Because part of what being a good actor is a person who's lived a good life, or at least a life. And even if it's what's considered a bad life, it is a good life for something to draw from, some truth that you can bring to a moment in a script in the world. And I'll never forget that. She said, you're good for your age.
Right.
I thought, wow. And that's great advice.
It is. It's 10:30. It's actually 10:31. Our show is over, unless the chatters want us to go into overtime, because it's only a half-hour show. And you have a few minutes. Would you do a little overtime if they're thumbs upping here?
Sure. I mean, I got to go to the bathroom in a minute, but until I can have to really go, yeah.
Okay, cool. So in order to do that, I need to play the game 5 objects with you. I'm going to show you 5 different objects.
Okay.
And this game came about because I've been sitting in quarantine like most of us, and I'm noticing things around my house that I can't believe I still have that. Why do I have that? Oh, I'm glad I didn't get rid of that. So I'm going to just show you them real quick, one at a time. Just give me your gut reaction to them, a story, a thought, a feeling. You ready?
Okay.
All right. First one. a boxing glove?
Oh, Ali.
Ali.
Muhammad, the greatest of all time.
Did you learn
The
anything?
GOAT. I'm moving.
Now that you're moving, your phone's crapping out
Go
on
ahead.
your phone's. You moved your position and we're losing your signal.
How's it? Oh, did you lose me completely?
Yeah, well, you're
How's
back.
this?
You're cutting in and out. Now you're frozen.
Oh shit. Okay, let me go back into the other room then. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was just
okay.
frozen. I was frozen for a second too.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Let me.
You ready for number 2?
Number 2.
Number 2, a rhinoceros.
Oh, the Rhinoceros Theater in San Francisco. It is a LGBT theater that's started that way, and they do a lot of work committed to the LGBT community. And the Theater Rhinoceros.
All right. Here's the next one, a can of tuna.
Ah, the good old days.
The good old days. What it's like? What, when you had no money and you had to eat tuna 3 times a week?
Oh yeah, some
right.
saltine crackers.
Number
and
4.
Some, Strategia. Oh wow, never played it.
What? Amazing.
Never played it.
Amazing. All right, here's our last one, number 5. The boombox.
Oh yeah, creation. The boombox was a part of creation. They say there was the word, and then there was this, and there was that, and then the firmament, and all that other thing. Well, the boombox was what was in the firmament.
Got you. Love that. Love that.
The genesis of it all is creation.
We are going into the chat. Thank you. Oh, did you pick an object for me?
I did. I'm sure you would have no idea what it is.
Okay, let's see. That is that a pillow that reminds me of like some kind of camping kit. Inside there's like a giant tent with a table and chairs.
Ah, well, no cigar, but it is a ancient Korean what would it be called? Heating pad. These are healing rocks inside of this thing.
Cool.
And you heat them up for 3 minutes in the microwave. You put them on any tightened muscle, tendon, or any part of muscular pain you may have. And these rocks will knock it out.
Rock it out. We're going to chat for a second. Diane Lieb says, I think of What a Wonderful World as Louis' signature song. Yeah, could be. Jamie says, love this interview. Deneen says, so good to see you, Shabaka. Next time we meet, we'll have coffee.
All right.
J.O. Sanders says, Brent Jennings, great man. Thanks.
Oh, yes. He's my neighbor. Brent lives very near here. We're one of my dearest friends.
Andrew Charles just joined us.
Andrew, what's up?
That's right. Somebody just typed in hashtag, you will be a great actor. I guess that's something you just said.
Yes. Day.
Heather Prescott said, overtime. Yes, honored to be here. Infinity wants to know if you have a Instagram.
I don't. I mean, here's the trick. CBS has an Instagram for me. When the show started, they said, "Oh, you don't have an Instagram? We'll install one on your phone." And I said, "You know what? Call up this guy, Christian. Install it on his phone. He's my publicist assistant. And if you send something to me, I'm sure it'll get to me through him."
Gotcha.
But I don't like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, twerking. I don't twerk.
That was my next question. If you could stand up and twerk for us, but you're not going to.
Oh, I don't do that anymore. No. Stella Got a Groove Back was my last twerking episode.
Gotcha. But John Cooney just joined us. Wayne Simmons just joined us.
All right, gentlemen. Wayne, John.
Sharice said, dang, I want that boombox.
Yeah.
Andrew Einhorn thought that your Black Bag of Stones was a sandbag from a film. That would be an interesting, souvenir, right?
Yeah, no.
Let's see what else we got in here. So Jack Fuller says, Brother Barry, I thought we had advanced way beyond racism. I'm extremely troubled now as through this current leadership it has only been exasperated. It's appalling to me. Sorry to be heavy, but I'm desperate. How can we, especially in the white community, help resolve this mentality?
Well, I think in the reality of it is that's the only place it can be resolved. It is an ongoing problem that is evidenced itself today, but it's a historical problem in that it is a rage and a madness that lies just beneath the surface of our society. And I think what we can do is just talk truth to power and talk truth to ourselves, because a lot of what happens is because a lot of people don't want to face the reality that's in front of them and choose to face an alternate reality. Well, we have to follow truth, and we got to be real, we got to be true, and we have to stand up for our fellow person when they're in danger. I mean, if you're a white and your black brother is in peril, it's your responsibility to try to alter the conditions that we all are sometimes forced to live in. It's a responsibility, and it's brotherly love is far more powerful than brotherly hate.
Absolutely. You mind if I weigh in a tiny bit here on this?
Weigh in, Galinsky.
Thanks, man. I think you're right. It's a responsibility everybody has, but especially white people, when white people are the perpetrators of a crime, of a particular affliction. And I've realized as I've gotten older as a white dude, the more I speak about these things, the more white people hear them. I know, coming from a suburban white background, that when black people speak about these problems, a lot of white people tune it out because it's black people talking about it.
Oh yeah.
Right? But when a white person speaks about it, white people listen differently. And so I've been part of my mission as a white person. When I look at myself that way, I mostly try to look at myself as just a human being with no racial lenses. But when I look at myself that way, I know that when what I say as a white male is being heard more clearly to other white males. And so therefore I try to say as much as I possibly can, as you may have noticed.
Absolutely. Yeah. I saw you sitting there on the bench saying it too.
Yep. Thank you. Jack Fuller says, you're beautiful. Thank you for being you, Barry. Well spoken. Mark David Bernbach just joined us. Callie Greenberg says, truth to power. Zulima says, it's terrible. It affects all of us. The younger generation struggle with their self-esteem. Mark says, I miss hanging with this guy on the bench after watching the bench in LA. Mark hung out with us a couple times after the show. Linda Ferguson just joined us. Welcome, Linda. All right.
Welcome, Linda.
We're going to wind up in a few minutes because I know that we're at the end of this, and also I don't know how much longer your bladder can hold up, but do a lot of people think that your career is sort of a fairy tale, that like you have been blessed to be able to work.
Yes, I have.
But you have put in a lot of hard work at the same time. So it's not, just been given to you. Tell us about the balance that you found between working on stage and in film and television. You can tell us which one you like more if you want, but how do you strike that balance and how does that work for you? Because you do stage a lot and you're brilliant in both mediums.
Well, I mean, I think that I probably do less now than I ever have, but that's because of availability. I, working on a television show that shoots 22 episodes. So that's like, half the 6 months at least. And I'm completely unavailable, film jobs and everything come in. But in terms of stage, I think that the balance, what helps me balance film and television is the stage, because on stage, you have an opportunity to express yourself in a way that doesn't exist in film and television. It's a really, very present, visceral experience that you're having as well as your audience is having. It's like you're both having a thing happen at the same time. So there's a different kind of energizing that takes place for the artist that doesn't take place on film and television. Film and television, it's more like it's more like carving a turkey. You know, you shave it down and you shape it and you work it, but you don't have, in most cases, the opportunity to really, you know, just blow yourself out, to blow emotionally yourself out, and to, you know, you rarely get a chance to do that in television. So for me, the stage is the place where I get to express myself in ways that I have yet to be in very few circumstances on film and television. However, it has also afforded me the opportunity to do film and television. And for me, it's the same craft. It's just different adjustments for different mediums, but it's the same craft.
It's something,
and you just carve it for whatever the circumstances are.
it's something you and the great J.O. Sanders have in common. Both you guys have the ability to just destroy what you're doing on stage as well as on film and on TV. It's a beautiful thing. You and I met when you were doing Jitney in
Right.
and you were brilliant. And by the way, thank you for introducing me to Stephen Henderson. He was on the show last week. And I remember.
I just talked to Stevie. Yeah, that's my man. That's my brother from another mother. There, boy. That is one brilliant, beautiful cat, man.
Sings the same praises of you as well. And then of course, we had that great moment where we went to one of Josh Harris's parties, and there was a boxing ring in the middle of the living room.
Oh yeah. We live in public.
We live in public, and we looked at it. You looked at me like, "What you got going on here, G? What you brought me to?" It was fun. He was a young woman.
Oh yeah, it was wild.
They were eating sushi off of her tummy. It was a crazy party.
Yeah, it's very good sushi. But go ahead.
Yeah, it was very good sushi. So let's finish it off with your one of your last big productions, A Star Is Born.
Oh yeah.
And was there I had a really specific question about this. Was there really a intense audition for this, or was it like they said, look, we like this guy from Everything's Done, we want him? Or were you one of a few that they brought in and you had to do your thing? What was that audition process like?
Not memorable, because it was, what I do remember is that it was in the marina at a place I'd never been to. And there were just a couple of guys there of my type and a couple white guys there. And we went in and read on camera. Bradley wasn't there. And we read on camera, and then I didn't hear for a while, so I thought it was, it was over. And then I get a call saying, okay, yeah, they want to hire you. And it was just like that. It was the first time I met Bradley. It was the first day of work. Bradley Cooper, the director, first day of work.
Do you, have you, when you first started out and you did the audition, I'm sure you've gotten to the point where, like you just said right now, I did the audition and I forgot about it. A couple of weeks go by, you forgot about it, got other things going on in your life, and then they call. Was there ever a time when you didn't forget about it? You did the audition and you were like, I want this, and because a lot of actors struggle with that. And I think there's a formula for that should be spoken.
Well, yeah. I mean, I learned really early on. Thank goodness. I think if I hadn't learned, I'd probably be in a mental institution. But I learned very early on that it's A, you're not in competition with other actors, and B, you can only bring the truth that you possess to the moment, and they either want it or they don't, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're too tall, too short, too thin, too fat. Those are things that are out of your control when you walk into the room. All you can do is be prepared and give your best and hope for the best, but you got to walk away, move on to the next thing.
There's a question in the chat here. What was it like working with Bradley and Lady Gaga?
Oh, it's terrific. He's a very calm, collected director. And I'm sure the studio, a lot of times, I don't know how they were about him. A lot of times, they're not really big on first-time directors, so they don't go all out to welcome them to the party, But Bradley came to the party with his A game, and he's just a very sweet, charming person to work with. Stephanie is just a dream. She's one of the nicest people I've ever met, and to realize that she has the burden of that kind of fame and notoriety that she has to walk around with on a daily basis. Remaining human is quite a challenge, and it is an admirable trait in any human being. And I take my hat off to Stephanie. She's a fantastic person.
Got it. You're great, man. You're a fantastic person. And coming from you, that's a super high compliment. I love you, man.
Oh, bless your heart, man. I love you too, brother. You're the best.
You are. And somebody just said, hey, it's a bromance in the chat. All right. So the formula for the audition thing is, because someone said we need the formula. Formula is just do it, leave it, and get on to the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, and the formula is being prepared. That's really the biggest part of the formula. It's being prepared. And when you're prepared and you understand that there are elements that are completely out of your control, that you just do your best. That's all you can do. And you don't take it personal if they don't want you. It's not you.
Last question for you. And we'll say goodbye. If you want to shout out, folks, we're going to say goodbye in a minute. Last question for you. It's a totally different life, a totally different world. Shabaka Henley is not an actor. What is Shabaka Henley if he's not an actor his entire life? What else is he? What would he be other than an actor?
A writer. I enjoy the solitude of sitting somewhere and just wrestling with the idea that comes into your head and try to find an unpredictable way to present it. I've always admired writers. I've always wanted to be a writer. I've always said to myself that if I ever stop acting, I will become a full-time writer.
Right on. WRITE on. Thanks, brother. I really appreciate you being with us.
Thank you, man. It's great venue you got here.
Thank you, brother. All right, so I will send you off to the green room again. You can go have some more of those delicious. What was in the green room? Because I asked them to get you green M&Ms. Did they put the green M&Ms in there?
No, they didn't. It's celery sticks, but they're fine.
Celery sticks. Healthy stuff. Thanks, Shabak.
All right, Galinsky.
Peace.
Take care, brother.
All right.